Bill and Mike, I've put together just a little intro that I'm planning to use for the panel discussion in January, and I thought to make best use of your time on Thursday, I would give you this ahead of time and give you an opportunity to think about it, and we can talk more on Thursday. Panel discussion, the topic is navigating NEPA. As both of you know, Tom Tidwell has given two talks in Boise this past year. One was on the planning rule by invitation of Senator Crapo, and then the more recent one was the address to the City Club of Boise, which I think really had some interesting information for collaboratives, the role of collaboratives, and also some comments he made about NEPA. So the general theme of that, and I'm going to use this just as background information for the panel, is the accelerated restoration strategy. A couple of highlights there was the scale of restoration need on national forests, 80 million acres nationwide. In Idaho, about 15 million acres are overgrown and in need of some sort of treatment. The risk, according to ecologists advising the chief, is that in many cases ecological thresholds have been crossed, which means disturbance events will likely increase in frequency. And the 2 points that I think really tie to the Idaho collaborative groups is emphasis on community-based collaboration. It's the best way, according to Chief Tidwell, to find solutions. And then when he was describing NEPA and the importance of NEPA, he mentioned 3 different proposed actions and the scale of those on the Payette National Forest. This is the Milk Creek Council Mountain project that finished with a record of decision during 2012, 50,000 acres. The recent Black Hills National Forest project dealing with forest health and insect issues, 248,000 acres, and the Forest Resource Initiative of 750,000 acres, and the current EIS that's underway, I think, is about half of that land area. So for the panel, I'd like to focus on the role of collaborations in the NEPA process. And again, for background, I think there's 2 important factors here. Efficiency. How can collaboratives help move through that process? In an accelerated restoration strategy, you still need to go through NEPA, and can collaboratives work in a way that fosters efficiency, and yet at the same time maintain credibility? I mean, the outcome does need to produce credible results that reduces the risk of appeals. Starting with fiscal year 2010, October 1st, 2009 to today, this is a map showing current forest landscape scale projects that have had a notice of intent published in the Federal Register. Out of those, there are 21. Out of those, 5 have completed. This is addressing the time involved in order to go from the notice of intent to the record of decision. But you notice that of the 5, 2 of them are about in the 1-year time frame, and 2 are in the 2 years from notice of intent to record of decision, and 1 is roughly about 1.5 years. The remaining 16, where the record of decision is pending, these have all been started at different times in the past 3 years. So some of them are still in the early stages and maybe in the beginning part of scoping. But I think the point to note here is the number of them that have been in process for 2 years or more. So I think efficiency is part of the issue to be discussed. The other aspect is credibility, and I'm using the example here of the Colt Summit project that was an EA proposed within the southwestern crown of the continent. The southwestern crown CFLR area is 1.5 million acres, about 700,000 acres is national forest land. Colt Summit was a relatively small project, 2,000 acres, that was challenged. The court decision is interesting, but I think what is relevant here in terms of credibility are the opposing quotes that were covered by the press from Swan Ecosystem Center and Alliance for the Wild Rockies. The first is from Swan Ecosystem Center. I tend to be on the side of the coin where if you bring a lot of people who don't think a lot alike and take time to learn about the projects, we collectively can come up with better ideas. And the flip side of that, from the Alliance for the Wild Rockies, the quote is, there's no provision in there that says if 80% of the people sign off on it, they don't have to follow the law. They have to show it's benefiting wildlife. So I think two different perspectives on credibility and the role of collaboratives is something that the 7 Idaho collaborative groups need to keep in mind as we work towards an efficient way to interact with the Forest Service on NEPA reviews. With that general background for introduction, then I think I'd like to have the panel proceed to 2 examples from Idaho of collaborative groups that have been involved with NEPA. On each of these, we'll have one person from the Forest Service and one from the collaborative group. And you know who those are from CBC, but from the Payette, it will be Greg Lesh, the district ranger from the Council Ranger District. And I'll be presenting kind of the lessons learned from the collaborative perspective. So I hope this helps just to give you a little idea of what I'd like the panel to focus on, and I look forward to discussing it with you on Thursday.